I would say that the main reason a film needs to be color timed is that as someone's watching the film, you want to reduce what I call an eye blink factor. When a film is shot, it's shot sometimes on at different times of the day, sometimes even different days, and when shots are cut together, they get exposed slightly differently. So one shot that cuts against another one might be slightly red, slightly blue, slightly brighter, slightly darker. And to get rid of the eye blink factor, we try to get those to match. And traditionally that's done in the lab. And what the lab does is on every edit, there might be a decision to add a little bit more yellow light, a little bit more red light, a little brighter, a little darker. And those are essentially the tools that you have in the lab. This is, of course, negating going into any special processes, which is a different discussion anyway. So with modern technology and rock videos, commercials, and everything, we now do telecines, and a lot of the cinematographers that are working today have pretty much all of them have done telecine at some point in their careers, where you have a lot more tools, but they've never been at high resolution for a feature to put into a theatrical venue. But now we have those tools that are available in what we refer to now really as 2K, which is the most common format, which will work in a theatrical venue. Those tools that these cinematographers have been using in their commercials and rock videos allow you not only to make something brighter, darker, bluer, greener to make it match, but it's to make the blue bluer just on an actor's shirt. It's to make the bright parts brighter without affecting the overall darkness of the scene.
Occasionally we'd have a shot of Forrest up against a wall, specifically the scene where Jared decides that he's going to give up the whole idea of the project, tosses the money to Forrest, and exits. He's right up against a wall that we've known for up until that point was dark, but we're able to window the wall behind him and create shading all around him, never contaminating him at all, and it worked beautifully. And a lot of those day sequences, we were able to tone down those windows and still keep the light that was penetrating through the window the same consistency. And knowing that saved me countless hours of not having to try to rethink it or having to try to shade the curtains or the shears and allow the light to come in.
You can get into a very high level of detail of how you want to affect the shot. And with a director like David Fincher, who is all about the details, it does bother him if a certain part of the wall in the background is slightly too bright. You know, it does bother him if you can't quite see into the shadow the way that you need to. The other great thing about this is that you can also affect your framing. You know, you're out there filmmaking, and one of the great things about filmmaking is the spontaneity and what happens out there. But every once in a while you get that one shot, the performance is great, the lighting is great, the sound is great, and you just wish that the headroom was a little more or whatever. And you're always able to fix that in the past by going to an optical house, and then that shot goes down 2 generations, etc. But in this technology, your whole film is scanned in. It resides in a hard drive. It resides in an ether space, you know, as it were. And what that means is you want a little more headroom, it's literally the turn of a knob, and you're done.
It offers you the chance of, you know, continuing the creative process long after, you know, the project has finished its principal photography, and that's what's so great. I mean, you know, I look at as still photographers, Ansel Adams comes to mind, you know, unbelievable eye and, you know, tremendous gift for photography. But, you know, Ansel Adams was also one of the most premier printers out there, and so much of his work was done once the shutter, you know, had closed and it opened and was in the process of developing. So what's exciting for me today is to see the possibilities that can take place once the film was wrapped.
Usually we talk about the project when I'm meeting with a client and we're going to do a color corrected film. I know a little bit about the movie. He'll tell me about the looks. The director of photography or the director will come in and tell me, you know, the kind of feel that they want, and then we'll actually go over certain frames of shots. You know, they'll say, well, these are important scenes, and this is the kind of look for day interior. These are the kind of look for night interior, night exterior, day exterior, and so forth, so that even before I start color correcting, I already have an idea of what it's supposed to look like. And then they give me an idea of what maybe bugs them about cinematography or whatever they've shot, and they'll say, oh, you know, certain scenes, maybe it was too bright, or certain scenes were too dark, or certain things came out too blue that we know would come out that way, so we want you to compensate for that. So immediately I know to adjust the movie accordingly. Okay, so these are some of the first few shots of Panic Room here. We're going to run this without any color correction on, you can see how blue the shots are here. So we are actually going to color correct these shots to make this look a little bit more afternoonish, autumn looking. You can see how blue everything is. We're going to put things like windows for power windows and do some repositioning and some basic color correction on these shots. So now we're going to take a look at these shots and we will color correct these shots. So this first shot here, which is pretty blue, we're going to make this look a little warm here. So we're going to add some contrast and put a little warmth in there by taking out some blue and some red. And after we've done this and we've now made this a much warmer shot, we're going to rotate this shot a little so that we can level things off. Just so, something like that. So now we can see the difference between what we had and what we have now. What we had and what we have now. What we're also going to do here is we're going to put a little window down where Jodie Foster is in that corner on the sidewalk there to bring them up a little bit more. So we'll just put a little window on there. We'll soften this up a little. This window allows us to color correct on the inside or outside independently of the picture. So that's what we're going to do right now. And you can see how much, you can actually see the window there. We're going to bring this down and actually soften this up so it should be pretty much imperceptible. And now we see the difference in the picture right there. So now we rotated the shot. We've color corrected it, and now we put a little window down there. So this next shot here, I'm going to color correct this and take some of the blue out here. Make this a little warm. And we're going to build some contrast into here. And this shot we pretty much just went with some basic color correction. We didn't do anything crazy to this shot here. So now that they match a little bit better, we're going to move on to our next shot. And in this shot here, again, we're going to first start off with the color correction. So we're going to make this a little warm. And what we're going to do here is we're going to adjust the headroom just a little, and you can see it actually moving. We have the ability to adjust headroom and also adjust. We can also zoom in and zoom out, which is things that we did throughout the movie. So we're just going to do a slight adjustment on this headroom, just on the head. Maybe just take it down right there so we can see a little bit more of him. And now we're going to color correct Jodie Foster on the push in. So first what we're going to do is we're going to color correct her, build some contrast into this shot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a window over her so that she sticks out a little bit more from the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to brighten her up and darken the background a little. And it's very subtle what we're doing here, so should be pretty much imperceptible. And we're just doing small little lighting changes throughout this movie. Now, here's a window. And that's it.
Digital intermediate is an expensive process, and it's not, at this particular moment, it's not for every film, because if you want to work with a cinematographer and or director who are using it for a specific reason. David wanted an insane amount of control over the imagery, and this is the only way to get that for him. When you look at other movies that are doing digital intermediate, it probably boils down to two things going on. Either they want a unique look that you can't get in a lab, which is what Brother Where Art Thou did, which is sort of the first big movie that did that. Or the other thing that's going on is you've got an effects movie in which 60 or 70% of the movie's digital anyway. You might as well put everything else through that pipeline and control it on that same level.